Hi everyone, it's about just after 5:20 Eastern, it's just after 4:20 Central on this Monday, October 22nd, 2012. I'm Stephen Boyle. Well, we have a serious situation setting up here, or a possible serious situation setting out. Now, if you remember back last week, I posted a couple videos saying how we could have a possible snowstorm for the East Coast. Well, that has since diminished. However, that tropical system that I was talking about, or that tropical entity, has now formed. Okay, so we are now seeing a tropical entity where I expected it to form, and now we have to sort of see what happens here. So we have Sandy. All right, Sandy has now formed in the Caribbean. All right, this is where we are having all of our major issues here, and overall, Sandy is projected to move in this general direction. Um, Somewhere on I believe the East Coast will be at least somewhat affected by this. Whether it's rip currents or high waves or something to that effect. I'm not exactly sure the effects at this point. There could be a direct hit on the East Coast as well. Again, this is all going to start to get that window of probability is going to start shrinking. However, the problem here is what I'm seeing and what I'm noticing here is a trend. Most of the models have, particularly the Euro, has been shifting more towards the east, which would mean good news for the Northeast, because if this were to have a direct hit, this would be causing some serious situations for us. However, the problem here is you still have to bear in mind that you still have a major possibility here, and you're essentially playing with fire if you're going to automatically determine that this thing is going to go out to sea. Oh, the models are showing that it's starting to go more east, so this is not going to affect us. Absolutely not. Really, this is only day one of the most important days here. So again, this is where Sandy is right now, and Sandy is going to again move up in this direction. The question is will this polar vortex, or this very strong polar jet, force this tropical system out to sea? And that is the major question at this point. Will this polar jet force the system out to sea? Because there's a very strong front coming through, and that has been the major key player here. Will it phase with the polar jet, or will it move the storm system out to sea? That's the major question at this point. So, without further ado, let's show you what the National Hurricane Center is projecting at this point. And here it is, okay? So overall, you can see that the National Hurricane Center has a general track in this direction. We do have tropical storm watches out for Jamaica. We also have tropical storm watches for Haiti. And so again, if you live into those areas, definitely keep your guard here, because this is going to be a serious situation. Well, not serious when it comes in terms of devastating, but we could be talking about flooding events here into Jamaica, also into parts of Cuba, and eventually into parts of the Bahamas. Will this affect Florida? Maybe wave-wise, but precipitation-wise, probably not. Maybe some outer fringes of this will be affecting the Keys in extreme southern Florida, but I don't see a direct hit by this at this particular point. I generally see a track more in this direction. Okay, so we'll see what happens. Okay, that's what the National Hurricane Center is projecting at this point, and so we'll again have to see what happens. Whoops, wrong one. Okay, so we're gonna first check out the Canadian model, and I'm just gonna cut right to the chase here. Actually, hold on. I want to sort of show you guys another view of this. I don't want to show you the whole country, because that's not our major vocal point at this point. I want to show you the East Coast. We'll just start out with this, and we'll just go model by model here. Okay, so here's the East Coast. Here's Florida. Here is the Bahamas. You can see all the way up into the coast of Maine, and there's Nova Scotia. So essentially, there is our system. Actually, you can sort of see the outer fringes of this, the northern portions of this storm affecting parts of the Bahamas by Thursday. Moving onward, sometimes this model can get a little crazy here. For those of you who are looking at this and saying, Steven, this is a lot different than what I'm normally used to for you in models here. I'm running a trial version of AccuWeather Pro models here, a 30-day trial here. So you'll be seeing me using these over the next 30 days. Here's a Canadian, and this shows a pretty nice low pressure system right in here. And this is really eyeing right for the Northeast and New England. I mean, this has some serious stuff with it. The pressures are down to 972 millibars. We're seeing a nice low pressure system here. This is very nice. There is our frontal system right here. All right, where I put this line here. This is our frontal system. Okay, now what some of the models are showing is that maybe this thing will be forced out to the east because of this frontal system. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. There could also be a phase. Okay, there could also be a phase that happens here. All right, so there's a little bit of uncertainty at this particular point on whether or not this system is going to either phase with the with this, or whether or not this system will phase with the polar jet, or if this will be forced out to sea. But just notice the rains associated with this. I mean, you can see how intense they are, particularly on the western side of the eye wall. You always get the strongest rains on the western parts of the eye. The eastern parts of the eye is where you get the strongest winds. So this is where the major winds would be. This is where the major rains would be. Also, you can notice a major swath of rain affecting parts of the mid-Atlantic here. And notice, remember I'm mentioning about the sea surface anomaly, or sea pressure anomaly that's off the coast of North Carolina to around the Delmarva area. Unfortunately, it doesn't really show you what happens. But again, this is very intense, and if this were to happen, this would be causing some pretty serious issues. Okay, and this is by the 28th, so this would be coming through New England. This would be coming through New England and parts of the Northeast for Halloween. So we'll see what happens with this. This is definitely something that needs to be watched. All right, we're going to bring ourselves onto the JMA, or the Japanese model. Okay, so here it is. Here is our system here. Okay, there is Sandy. Okay, there is our nice low pressure. All right, there she is. Okay, now the JMA has the system hitting in South Carolina, somewhere between Georgia and South Carolina. This would not be as of a major, or this would not be as severe if it were to do this. However, notice how the system still continues to intensify, because notice how the pressure here is 992, okay, when it's down here, and you're looking at this and you're saying, oh, this is great, it'll hit the southeast, and then here in New England we'll just get rain. Well, unfortunately, that's not the situation, because this system continues to deepen, and the rains get more intense. Notice how we have a large swath of rain in here, and we have pressures down to 984 millibars. And again, this is going right over that sea pressure anomaly that's right off the coast of North Carolina to the Delmarva. So I can almost guarantee you the next when I move over to hour 168, you'll probably see this stronger. Well, again, this jumps here, but I can almost guarantee you, again, this goes out more. This goes out more in time, and this goes 24 hours. This has a 24-hour precipitation instead of going every 6 hours like the other models do. But I can guarantee you that as this continues to move northward in this direction, it would, and the rains and the pressure would continue to deepen. But as it works its way inland, you will get less of a situation. You will get more rain, or you will get this system not as strong as it moves inland. And again, here is the rains that could be affecting parts of New England. According to the Japanese model, there is a major, absolutely crippling snowstorm for portions of Buffalo, New York. I'm not sure about this yet, but if this were to happen, there are some small indicators into portions of New York that we could be picking up around, let me see. I'm just trying to remember what the amounts are here. They don't really have a good key. Hold on a minute. Maybe I can use the Northeast and they'll give me a better key. Let's look at this one instead. Yes, that's a better key. Okay, we have the so if we were to see these amounts and notice where we're having the snows, we're having them. Here is the 540 line. All right, this is the 540 line. This is the line separate. This is the boundary layer. All right, this is the line that separates rain and snows. Okay, the Japanese model is indicating a crippling snowstorm for parts of New York. This is indicating a possible 30 to 50 inch snowstorm for them out there. And yes, when you hear me say 50 inches, this area in here that's shaded in orange could pick up a good 50 inches of snows. Okay, this is just that serious. This has a major impact on New York State. Not too sure about these snows down in here, but again, it wouldn't surprise me. But again, we'll see what happens. But again, this cold air continues to work its way eastward. So you'll notice that by the time we work our way to the end of the period, you have this trough that is clearing the coast all the way through Virginia and all the way through Maine. At this time, it wouldn't surprise me if we were to see some snows by the beginning of November for some areas. This is by actually the 30th of October, so we'll see what happens as we move through time, but definitely very cold air moving in for the beginning of November. That's the JMA. Now looking at the Navy, or the no gaps, okay? And actually, let's now have this scented towards the East Coast instead. I only did that because I wanted to see what some of those snowfall amounts could have been. But I'm just showing you here the possibility of a hurricane. That's really what I'm trying to portray out for you guys here, is the chances of a hurricane. And notice, this is out. Here is Saturday the 26th. Here's this upcoming Saturday. Here's this upcoming Sunday. And you can see here is our low pressure. We have a 980 millibar hurricane or tropical storm, most likely a hurricane. Massive intense rains with this. Okay, we're talking over 9 inches into some areas within a 6-hour period. And this is just a very intense storm system. And this is what's being indicated here is that this would be moving off in this direction. Because if you look at the past movement of the storm, you're noticing that it's moving up in this direction. You're noticing that it's moving in this direction. So, with that being said, it seems like the center of low pressure is going to go in this direction. However, that means that these rains are going to go like this. Okay, so that means portions of New England are going to really need to watch out for this, and this could be yet again some crippling rains for them. Flooding event here. So we'll see what happens. So that's the Navy. Let's look at the Euro. Actually, before we do that, let's actually look at the NAM. And remember, the NAM is a very short-range model. So, essentially, for short-range things, it's very accurate. And notice where the NAM has this storm. It's right over. By hour 84, they have very intense rains right over the Bahamas. So this is, even the NAM at this point in time, which is a very short-range model, is indicating a hurricane or a tropical system. And we already have one, so I mean, it can only, but it is indicating that it's going to move in this sort of direction. We'll see what happens. The NAM is going to become more of a better player as we move closer to when this system will be affecting us. Now, there is only one model right now that is indicating that this is going to be moving out to sea, and that is the GFS. Okay, and a lot of people are sort of holding the GFS very strongly. Notice how the GFS just takes the storm right out to sea. It doesn't have it phasing with that polar jet. It just keeps that storm moving right out. The problem with that is that there's also a little bit of an error here going on with the colder air. Okay, watch what happens here. I'll even zoom out to the regular in the United States now, because they're not only having an issue with the storm, but they're actually having an issue with bringing in this colder air, which I cannot. I'm just not seeing that it wouldn't affect the East Coast in the way that the GFS is portraying. The GFS is portraying that this cold air is going to become very much like, almost sort of like what we saw last winter. But with a negative NAO and negative AO, you do not see this sort of trend in the cold air. Okay, this is not the way how you see storms. Nor, if you have a negative NAO, do you see storms moving out like this. It just doesn't happen with a negative NAO. With a negative NAO, you see storms coming up the coast. So the farthest east I would say that this would be moving at this particular point is in a track like this going right over Cape Cod. That would be the farthest east. Okay. So at this particular point, I think the GFS is going through a little bit of errors here, because again, I just don't see this sort of trend here, because again, with the NAO being negative, it doesn't support this sort of trough. I'm already seeing a major problem with the GFS, not only with the hurricane. I'm not actually disagreeing with that the most. That's just something that, you know, we just got to see what happens. But the trough is really what I'm disagreeing with. So that's making me believe that what's going on with the GFS and the storm system is also wrong as well. Usually when there's one aspect of especially when you go out farther than 120 hours, if there's an aspect that is, and if you notice at 120 hours, it already has the storm moving in a northwesterly direction. Okay. But at this particular point, and actually at 120 hours, is it not necessarily wrong? Actually, I wouldn't say that at 120 hours the GFS is wrong. Actually, I would say up to 120 hours the GFS is actually quite accurate. It has a storm system here. It's just after 120 hours that the models start to diverge, but not majorly, because again, the GFS is the only model at this particular point that's saying, hey, this thing is going to go out to sea and it's not going to affect the Northeast whatsoever. So that is the only model. Now people are saying, oh, you know, there's a bunch of global models that are disagreeing that the storm will be hitting the East Coast and this and this and this. There is only one model, and that is the Euro, and that is the GFS. Now, I haven't shown you guys the Euro yet because I am very concerned with what the Euro is showing. And the Euro has continued to show this particular situation. Now, earlier today, it was portraying a major, and when I say major, I mean crippling snowstorm for parts of Pennsylvania. Parts of these areas could have picked up over, if the 0Z Euro was correct, over 48 inches of snows. However, that is now out, and now we are starting to see a new portrayment of the Euro. So here is our Euro. Now, this is what you can definitely tell is a tropical system. How can I tell this is a tropical system or a hurricane? Is because of how small. Notice how small this wind field is. That's how you can tell it's a hurricane or a tropical system, is when you have a very small area. So the Euro is taking this very, very well. Better than most of what the other models are showing. Now, as this moves northward, why is this wind field spreading out? Because this is what we call, this storm system is going to start becoming extratropical. And when that happens, the windshield spreads out. Okay? So therefore, you'll continue to see this windshield spreading out as it moves northward. Because it's coming into colder waters, and it's not in tropical It's not in tropical conditions anymore. It can't support tropical conditions. So, look at this. Okay, this is a pretty major system here. Okay, and just notice what's going on here. Now, this would be an absolutely, and when I say absolutely, I mean seriously major event if this were to verify. This is a 944 millibar storm. We're talking about a crippling hurricane. Actually, this is just becoming even more ridiculous as this is moving onward. This would be major winds. I mean, we would be talking about major winds for most of the East Coast here. I'm just telling you, if the Euro verifies, if this were to be accurate, I mean, we would be talking about serious situations. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And again, as this moves northward, this sort of weakens a little bit. But the problem here is if it was just the Euro indicating this, then I would be like, maybe, maybe this will happen, maybe not. But I've already shown you not only the Euro, but the Canadian, the JMA, and the Navy, all on board with it, okay? And actually, the NAM is starting to come on board. And even the GFS is showing up to 120 hours that there's a system that'll be in the Atlantic quite close to the East Coast, okay? So up to 120 hours, actually, all the models are very good. It's just after that 120-hour mark, the GFS goes off in its own direction. And it's because they are showing that NAO is going to go positive, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. All right, that's just not going to happen at this particular point. So the GFS is going through some issues, some model errors. I think they'll probably be taking care of that over the next day or so. But I just want you all to remember, I would say the best thing to do at this particular point is prepare. Would this be as bad as Irene? I'm not sure. We can never be sure, but it's a possibility at this particular point. So just bear that in mind. This is looking like a pretty serious situation, and we would be talking about major rains here. So just keep all of this in mind. And actually, I'm going to bring up precipitation amounts here, just so we can sort of get an idea and get a grasp of what's going on. So this is going to sort of show you how much rain is going to be anticipated with this tropical system. Okay, what you really want to look at is this down here. This is really what your attention should be focused on. Again, this only goes up to 5 inches, and I can guarantee you that we will be all seeing over 5 inches of rain. I mean, you can generally bet your money on that one. I mean, it does show 3 to 4, but again, this is again at least. This is at least. This is like I said, I believe this is in inches. Yeah, this is in inches. But again, this is absolutely the least that we would be getting out of this particular system. But I just want you to bear this in mind. And this is again just a forecast, or this is not even a forecast yet. When I put out my forecast, you will know. I will have my own graphics. I will have my own stuff being put up here. I'm just showing you what the models are showing right now. All right. But I'm just saying here, according to what the models are showing, be ready, because it's looking pretty serious when it comes in terms of tropical weather. So that's what's going on at this particular point. I'll be back tomorrow with another update, but until then, take care.